So I didn't prepare any notes, any script for this video. I just want to tell the way it is, and my hair looks pretty strange as always, but I think that for this particular video it just reflects perfectly the state of WWDC. And before I start going on for quite some time, let me just give Apple credit for supporting those old devices. I mean iPhone 6s, iPad mini 4, iPad Air 2. That is insane. The fact that they still support these devices. I mean 2014 iPad Air 2. Let that sink in. I mean 2014, that's what? Samsung Galaxy S4 back in the days. And nobody remembers that. And this thing from 2014, iPad Air 2, is still being supported. That is insane. And that proves why they put so much power into the devices, even if it doesn't make sense from day one. I mean, wow. I'm extremely impressed by the way they are supporting these devices, and all credit in the world for them for doing that. And with that being said, I think we can start talking about iPadOS 15, or maybe rather Limit OS 15. I think that's the appropriate name for the overall OS right now for an iPad, since they just released some absolutely overkill devices, like even iPad Air 4, but especially M1 iPad Pros. If you actually see and think about what M1 is capable of, the M1 even MacBook Air with proper software, it can do so much. Your productivity can literally skyrocket thanks to all of those shortcuts, just lack of OS limitations on MacBooks compared to iPads. Your productivity can literally skyrocket. Plus this extra speed, every ounce of it is literally being used, since you can literally use it to be faster and more productive. And how can you use this with iPad? I mean, iPadOS 13 was a big change. It really changed a lot for an iPad, making it closer to so-called laptop replacement. Then 13.4 brought this cursor support, and then we got stalled completely. I mean, iPadOS 14 didn't bring literally anything except what? It changed widgets a little bit, not the way they are positioned, but the way they look, and it brought Scribble that for me, maybe for you it's okay, but for me it's absolutely useless. So it didn't change anything compared to iPadOS 13. And now with iPadOS 15 we were like, yeah, it's time. I mean, we get so much power, it's just time. And yeah, it turned out it's not, and it's still iPadOS. Okay, it's improved iPadOS with a couple of new features, but when I saw this one particular feature, I think for Mac, this universal something that literally just allows you to place your iPad near your MacBook and just drag and drop things, I said, it clicked instantly. I was like, okay, now I know what's going on. They're just gonna keep iPad and Mac separated, so even if you pay $2,000 for an iPad, it's still not gonna be able to do what a MacBook is able to do. Since if you paid $2,000 for an iPad, why just not pay extra $1,000 for a MacBook Air and just have two devices? And this one for $2,000 is not gonna be as capable as this MacBook, and that's the way it's gonna go. iPadOS is gonna stay separated from macOS in terms of functionality and what it can actually do. And it's disappointing, honestly. Again, I totally understand why, because you do Macs for a reason, you produce them for a reason, and you produce iPads for a reason, and of course as a company you wanna earn, which is totally understandable. But if you pay so much for an iPad Pro with Magic Keyboard, with things like that, which actually is more expensive than MacBook Pro, and you can't do half the things you can on your MacBook Pro, what's the point of so much power? And I'm saying it, extra power always makes sense, always. Even with the limited OS, because it's gonna give you, with iPad Air 2, extra software support, it's gonna give you greater stability and overall experience. But with that much of power and seeing how capable M1 MacBooks are, M1 Macs in general are, it's a little bit sad, isn't it? And I don't like being negative like that, but you just cannot say that something is cool when it's clearly not. We got another evolution of iPadOS without actually bringing it any closer to some greater functionality. And I don't even mean like pro apps, which I made quite a bit of videos about that, and yeah, I hoped for that, okay? But I didn't care about it that much. More I cared about the iPadOS being overall less crippled by its limitations. Like, my friend sent me an essay and I just wanted to edit something on it, and I was like, okay, I am on my iPad, so no problem, I'll just open it from my iPad and edit. And oh my god, there were just so many things that started annoying me that I just said, okay, I'm just gonna open my old laptop that, you know, I even sometimes run out of patience with its slowness, but I opened it, did all the work on it, and it was so much faster than on more powerful iPad. So that just shows that the hardware is great, the software is not, and it's always the same story with every iPad, iPad Pro. Maybe not every iPad, but like with every iPad Pro since like what, the first iPad Pro. I watched also the videos of the 2017 Pro, and people were telling exactly the same things they are telling now. Great hardware, not enough of software features, too many software limitations, and it's always the same story. And I personally don't like that since, as I said, I don't want iPads to be better than MacBook or something like that, but with that much of power and potential capabilities, limiting OS that much? Like, at least give us some shortcuts, some better ways to edit files, to segregate them, to actually do something more than we can now, since this was good for 2019 and iPadOS 13. But like now 2 years later with two new iPad Pros actually being launched, previously the 2020 version and now the 2021 version, and there is literally no difference when it comes to usage between these devices and the 2018 iPad Pro and other iPads. Like, it's just getting sad. On one hand, I just really appreciate the fact that it's the same experience all over the OS. But on the other hand, why like iPad 6th gen with A10 and 2 GB of RAM is just as capable as M1 iPad Pro. And it's not the fact that it's bad that the A10 iPad is as capable. It's bad that M1 iPad Pro is not being used to its full potential, because the software cannot take advantage of that. Like, if you look actually at some games, they can run 120 FPS on an iPad Pro, but you gotta lower the settings to medium. Like, why? Just why would you do that? Like, this thing is able to handle ultra easily, and like you're limiting the graphics to medium. Like, what's the point? Well, like, oh my god. Yeah, I'm just gonna drink from this. Yeah, like, that is the main point. Like, I want a little bit more, and I don't know, maybe I just took it too harsh, like, whatever it is, but it's disappointing. Like, with iOS 15, it's totally okay. I just saw the features and I was like, okay, there's not that much that I would change in iOS 15. Like, it's all good, it's all okay. But like with iPad, we got the features like branded as new features, like app library and widgets on the home screen. We got this a year ago in an iPhone, and I made a video, one of my very first videos, iPadOS 14 wasted potential. I literally talked about that. Like, I think I made even 2 videos about that, and I talked about that every time, that why don't we have widgets now and app library? And they brought that in the 15, and wow, great. But it's 1 year too late, and now we should be going like 1 step ahead, or maybe 2 steps and 10 steps ahead. But yeah, let's just keep iPad limited, and yeah, it's totally okay. And yeah, I got a little bit frustrated, to be honest, since I was hoping for a little bit more, and I think everybody is a little bit disappointed. Some people are really disappointed in the way that they want to return their iPad Pros. I wouldn't do that, and I still want to buy my iPad Pro, since I know what iPads are capable of, and I knew it way before the iPadOS 15, way before the M1 iPad Pro ever launched. and I didn't expect it to be like that much more better than it's now. So I'm still buying it because I still see some great ways of using this. I'm still an iPad lover. It's just as an iPad lover, I'm being disappointed by the way these changes are going. Like, if you rebrand something as a laptop replacement, give it some great keyboard, but very expensive keyboard, some great hardware, and you limit that, I just don't understand it. I mean, I do, but I don't understand it as a user. And you know, it's good to be empathetic toward company and be like, oh, they wanna earn money too. Yeah, but some people just spent $2,000 on their newest iPad Pros, and they are not able to use their full potential because the company wants to earn more money. I just don't like that, and I'm not gonna like that. As I said, fair play to them for supporting those old devices like nobody does that. And for that reason alone, I'm gonna remain their fanboy like no matter what. But just because I'm an Apple fanboy doesn't mean I'm not gonna be objective in some matters and some ways that have to require me to be objective. And in some way, it's also good for me since now I can finally, when reviewing an iPad or something like that, tell people, if you want a laptop, just go for a laptop. And if you want a tablet that can do some laptop things and maybe will match a laptop experience for your particular workflow, go for an iPad. And that's just what I'm gonna be saying, and I think that's the way it is. Really don't know what more to say. Disappointment, I think that's how we can call this conference. I'm sure they brought some great features that now I don't see, tech people don't see, because we just keep complaining about those limitations. But yeah, we kind of wanted more, and we just got another evolution with some restricted features that make sure that iPad is gonna remain an iPad instead of a machine that can really be expanded if the software allowed that. And you know, I'm just tired of people talking about software limitations and me talking about software limitations, but it's just the way it is, and we just gotta accept the fact that iPad is the way it is, and it's probably gonna be that way for quite some time. And you know, you can love it or hate it. Me personally, I'm still gonna stay with iPads. I just love the experience, love the way what they can do in this form factor, love the overall qualities they offer. But that doesn't, of course, make me less frustrated with the iPadOS 15, since, as I said, it wasn't even about Pro apps for me, like, and probably for most of you, you didn't care about Pro apps either. You just wanted better, maybe internet browsing experience, more like a computer browsing experience. You maybe wanted some smarter system. I mean, I don't even have to tell how you can improve this thing, since like Apple made macOS, which is way more functional. So I don't even have to say any other features that I want, because they already know what you want to make it a computer experience. They just don't want to implement that. And what can you do with that? And yeah, a little bit of rant video today, but I think it's deserved rant, definitely. Since, you know, they didn't really surprise us, they didn't really do what they could do. And well, it's deserved. I'm a little bit frustrated, and I made this video, you know, just like everybody. It is what it is. We just keep going. And hopefully, it's just one day, one magical day, the iPad is gonna get better. And that will be this for now. Until next time.